Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Fifer, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Download the Wendy's app today.
How are you? It is a Thursday. It is a beautiful Thursday outside. A fall Thursday, if you'd like to put it that way. Before we get into sports, because we've got lots of stuff to talk about today. Guest-free today. A rare guest-free show here on Wisconsin Sports Daily today. So that is fun. So lots of time for y'all to hop in on the Nicolay Law Talking text line, 414-677-1250, as we go through the bunch of topics that we have slated for today's show. And we'll cover Badgers, we'll cover Bucks, we'll cover Packers. So lots of good stuff to get to. But y'all like this whole fall back the clocks thing that happens? I mean, we got that coming up this weekend on Sunday morning, and everybody's got to turn their clocks back. I've never, ever been a fan of it. Never really liked it. And I'm sure around the state of Wisconsin, maybe I've got, some farmers listening around the state or whatever that can explain to me that it's necessary for them. And that very well may be, in which case I say, I'm sorry, I'm not in that same boat to appreciate it the way that you all probably appreciate it, but man, it sucks. Get off work and it's like pitch black outside by the time you get off work, by the time we get to around November, December. So yeah, just complaining about that. I'd much rather have it light out at night than during the day than in the morning. But I know the argument is, well, the kids are standing out there for the bus, so you get dark out. I know my kid stands out there for the bus too. I'm quite aware of what it would look like, but not a fan. All right, let's get into some of the stuff coming up on today's show. Ted Kellner, who is I would say the lead booster for the Wisconsin Badgers football program in the last couple of days, has come out with some words about the Badger football program and Chris McIntosh. And again, he is the money. And a lot of people were not happy with what Ted Kellner has to say. So we'll get into that coming up in the second segment. Kay Adams from Up and Adams, she's playing Packers GM earlier today on her show. We'll get into that conversation about what she's suggesting for the Green Bay Packers. Giannis debuted 12 years ago today in the NBA. 12 years ago today. Does it feel like Giannis has been playing in Milwaukee for 12 years for the Bucks? 12 years?
No, not even close, man.
I saw 12 years. I was like, man, I have things all the time that remind me how old I am. But 12 years went by like that.
It doesn't feel like 12 years, but it also feels like 100 years at the same time too, because he won that championship. Feels like he is the Bucks, so that's what it's always been.
I got a 9-year-old. Something myself. He's been on the Bucks the entire time that kid's been alive. Like, he doesn't know the Bucks without Giannis, which is pretty wild. So, anyways, we got to talk about that coming up in the 3:00 hour. These throwback jerseys, have definite thoughts on that. And then, of course, Jolly Sounds of the Day, Green and Gold update. Dan Orlovsky, I thought you liked us. We'll talk about his comments coming up at 4:00 from ESPN. Going to start off talking about the fine fellas before us we're talking about. I figured better to do it now following that show than not do it. So Mason Crosby, Mitch Thunder Nellis, Tommy Wirtz, Mason Crosby show. Love that show. It's a fun show. Guys have a lot of fun doing it. It's an easy, fun listen as well. They're talking about trap game and whether it's a trap game or not. And I love hearing when I hear players, they don't view it as a trap game. I don't believe you. No, I don't believe you. I don't. I'm sorry, I don't. Look, we're all human beings. We're not robots. You can tell me all you want that you treat every game like it's the Detroit Lions, or you treat every game like it's the Philadelphia Eagles, right? I don't believe you. There's just no chance. It's in baseball, it's a long season. So in baseball, good teams are going to lose to bad teams at some point throughout the season. Happens to everybody. I don't care which one of these teams win the World Series, whether it's the Dodgers or whether it's the Blue Jays. Both of them, I'm sure, if you go back and look, have lost to a bad baseball team. And I don't mean like just a worse record than them. I mean like a bad baseball team, like teams that are at the bottom of their divisions. Bad baseball. So then when you get into the season, the Brewers lose to the Pirates or something, everybody's like, I can't believe they lost to the Pirates. It's like, man, come on. It's a long season, man. You're going to lose to bad teams no matter how good you are. You're going to stumble, and it's going to happen. In the NBA, Giannis has been running his mouth about something else that's not true. So Giannis's new thing is, hey, man, good teams don't lose back-to-back. No team in the history of the NBA has never gone a season without losing back-to-back games. There's not one team. I looked it up. I was like, that's not true. That's just not true. So, have that being said, great teams, the 72 win Bulls or whoever you want to point to, they're going to lose to bad teams too throughout the course of a season here or there. They're going to stumble and lose to a team that they shouldn't, lose to. Whether they come out flat or they're out too late the night before because they weren't too worried about that game the next night, whatever. That happens. So, to try to convince me that with the Philadelphia Eagles, who are the only other team besides the Lions that probably everybody looks at as far as being in that same category with the Packers at this point, when they're sitting after this game on Monday Night Football, not a noon kick, Monday Night Football in prime time, and this team here, it appears Bryce Young is going to come back. Doesn't appear Andy Dalton's going to play, but it appears Bryce Young was out there practicing today, so he'll be playing. Team's not good. They're not good at all. So to think that, oh no, they would never let their guard down against the Carolina Panthers, rewind to the beginning of the year. You have the Cowboys sitting on the other side of Cleveland. What happened? Now, you give credit to the team that beats you. Yes, you give credit to the Browns. Hey, man, their defense was great. Packers had no answers. It wasn't a good game for the Packers. It was the lowest output this Packers offense had all year. And they responded with what? 40 the next week. Now, the Packers defense, on the other hand, had been great to that Cowboys game. They got slapped around. And after that, the Packers defense has settled back in a little bit here and has been better. So I don't agree when these guys say it's not a trap game. No, you may not be sitting in front of your locker saying, hey, man, we got to be careful. It's a trap game this week. No, those words probably don't come out of your mouth. But it's only human nature to let your guard down throughout the course of a season when you're playing a team that's not as good as a lot of the other teams are playing, especially when you're facing a big-time opponent coming up on the other side. It's just human nature, Charlie.
It is. But also at the same time, what we've seen this season from the NFL is a lot more parity than I think we've seen in past seasons. And I think at this point in the year, most teams, most coaching staffs, most players understand that more so than any other year in the past, you have to take every team seriously week in, week out. Each team has a chance to come out and win a game this week. The Panthers have won games like that already this season. This is not the worst team in football, especially if Bryce Young comes out and plays for them on Sunday. If this is a situation where they are a healthy squad, that is going to be a tougher team to beat than I think a lot of people expect. But the Packers shouldn't go out there with that mentality, and they should know better by now because Cleveland was a trap game. Having Dallas that next week in that storyline of Micah Parsons going back to Dallas right away and getting that revenge, that was huge. That was definitely going to be something that was on their mind. I think if you even go back to Cincinnati, that could have been a trap game with Pittsburgh on the other, or Arizona, with Pittsburgh on the other side of that. And that could have been a game where you have the Aaron Rodgers storyline affecting the game the week before, but they didn't let him affect it that week. So if you do think this is or could potentially be a trap game, let me tell you, it didn't work last time. It shouldn't work this time either. But the Eagles, that doesn't have a same storyline that those past two games had.
In my mind, Philadelphia, when the schedule came out, you circled Detroit in week 1, Philadelphia, and Detroit on Thanksgiving. Now, I don't know what everybody else did. And Rodgers probably, right, because it's Rodgers. So those are the 4 games that you probably circled as far as, okay, these are going to kind of be litmus tests, both Lions game and the Eagles game. And then, of course, there is the Rodgers game. That's not a litmus test because they aren't that good. But regardless, it was still Rodgers and you wanted to beat him. As a Packer fan, that was an important game to you, obviously, as a Packer fan. But Philly in both Lions games, to me, again, not as a player, as a fan, those were the games I was excited for. Nobody was excited for Carolina at this point. Well, maybe like one. But outside of that one person maybe that might be listening, but that's a Panthers fan who's also a Bucks fan. Does the Cream City crossover podcast.
You weren't excited for the
post-game.
Jordan Love, Bryce Young matchup for the ages, right? No.
Who?
Bryce Young, you weren't prepared for that?
Am I missing something? What? Bryce Young? Why do I care about Bryce Young, the quarterback for the Panthers? That doesn't get me excited to watch him play.
That doesn't get you fired up?
No.
You weren't mad that the Packers didn't get Ted McMillan before the Panthers did? That didn't get you fired up?
No, that didn't get me fired up either. No, I got no hostilities. Man, our guy Kevin Holden is down there. Crunchy from CBS 58, old Milwaukee sports director at CBS 58. He's a sports director down there now in North Carolina. I got no ill will towards the Panthers. I could care less one way or the other. They've stunk for a while. I hope they get good at some point. I don't want any fan base to be that bad that long unless they're in Chicago. All right, so let's hear what you got to say. Do you think the Cleveland game was more of a trap game than the Panthers game is this upcoming week? So, yeah, the Cowboys sitting behind that Cleveland team coming off 2 huge wins. At that point, we didn't know that Washington was going to take a step back against Detroit and Washington. And then, of course, that Dallas game on the other side of Cleveland. Or do you think this is the bigger deal here because it is Philadelphia and you have the Panthers sandwiched between Aaron Rodgers and that emotional contest, and now going up against Philadelphia, who, I think by all indications, everybody thinks somebody's going to have to beat Philadelphia in the playoffs in order to get to the Super Bowl. And I think a lot of people think Detroit and Green Bay are the other two. So those are the top 3 teams. What say you? Nicolay Law, talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250 is the phone number. Follow us on socials at WI Sports Radio, streaming live on X as well as on YouTube. Don't forget, tune us in wherever you're driving around the state, Green Bay and Appleton area, WNFL 99.7 FM. We have 93.9 The Game in Wausau, 710 The Game in Duluth Superior, and in Milwaukee, The Fan, 1250 AM and 105.7 FM, if you want to tune us in there. For me, this is a much bigger possible game of where you're going to slip up, just because you have the Aaron Rodgers deal, number one, coming off of that. And I think, regardless of what they want to say publicly, Jordan Love definitely wanted to win that game. I don't think there's any doubt in anybody's mind he wanted to win that game. So he was definitely jacked up for that game. I think you're definitely going to be jacked up to face Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley and those guys in Philadelphia, knowing how good Philadelphia has been for the last couple of years. I mean, and you're at home. You're not even on the road. You're sitting at home, sleeping in your bed all week long with some crap team coming into Green Bay. And I'm supposed to believe you're as up for this game as you are against Pittsburgh and Philadelphia the week before and the week after. I'm not buying it. So to me, I was concerned about Cleveland a little bit, only because we knew Cleveland's defense was really good. What am I concerned about with Carolina from that standpoint, right? It's not their offensive line. I'm not worried about us not scoring points, averaging over 30 points a game outside of the Browns. Their defense ain't shutting down the Packer offense like that. So not worried about that.
Better looking uniforms maybe this week. We'll get.
I like the Packer uniforms this week, but we'll get into the throwback uniforms coming up in the 3:00 hour. But what is there really to be concerned about? I mean, from that standpoint. So when you talk about letdown, trap game, this is, to me, a much bigger trap game than Cleveland. Cleveland at least got your attention with their defense. Neither side of the ball gets your attention here.
No, they don't. But also, I don't think it's really worrying about whether or not Carolina's going to come out and be this big surprise. I'm not worried about the Packers relaxing enough to let Carolina beat them at this point is more what it is. I think with Cleveland, with a game like that, again, you were so fired up for Dallas, and it was early enough in the season where Cleveland, the first couple of games, did not look good enough on offense in order to stop you, and that you could figure out your offense eventually. We're deep enough in the season and now to kind of get the rhythm of what's happening across the league. And again, I think Matt LaFleur is a good enough head coach to realize that and say, you know what? No, we don't need to be at full strength. Yes, we can look forward to the Eagles a little bit and be more fired up for an Eagles game than we are for Carolina, but we're not going to let ourselves get low enough in order to lose to a Carolina.
Yeah. And that's the other thing too. from a leadership standpoint, this does fall on LaFleur to try and keep this team focused, try and keep these guys zeroed in on the prize here of, look, we can't play that game now. That's Monday night. We have extra day to get ready for that game. Let's just try and keep all of our focus on the Carolina Panthers. And I don't know how you do that as a head coach. You make practices a little bit more tough this week to get their attention, or what do you do to get their attention? I'd ask Charlie, but his team wasn't ever very good in college to be demanding their attention, because every week you were trying to figure out how to win a football game.
Yeah, it was trying very hard to figure out anything. We did not want to lose again. Didn't always work, but you know what? We tried. We did our best.
Hey, that's all you can do. All you can do is try. Coming up next on the other side, Ted Kellner, who is the money man for the Wisconsin Badgers sports program. Donated a lot of money over the years to Madison. He's donated money to UW Milwaukee as well, to their business school and their programs in the past. So him and his wife do a lot of donating of money. He came out publicly, and we'll tell you what that was all about concerning the Badgers, because a lot of Badger fans are mad. A lot of Badger fans are mad. So we'll talk about that straight ahead. Hey, don't forget, Potawatomi, baby. They're giving away over $300,000 in prizes. That's a lot of money. It's autumn action. Yeah, you heard that right. Over $300,000 in prizes, courtesy of our friends over at Potawatomi Casino Hotel. Autumn action runs November 1st through the 20th. You can earn entries playing with your rewards card. Prize drawings happen on Thursdays between 5 and 8 p.m. And if you win, you get to pick your prize from the prize board. All leftover prizes go into a rollover jackpot drawing. For more info, go online at Potawatomi.com. Must be 21 years of age or older and a reward member to play. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here, Charlie using over there, other side of the glass. When the Bucks win, you win at Wendy's. Bucks back in action coming up tonight after every Bucks win. Stop by any participating Wisconsin Wendy's for a free small vanilla or chocolate frosty classic. No purchase necessary. This offer is only good for 24 hours after a win, so act fast. Get that free small frosty classic at Wendy's today. Bucks and Golden State tonight. We will see how that one plays out. I have on ESPN in the studio here, and they were promoting on their NBA show. Can Giannis's hot start get the Bucks rolling? What do you mean get the Bucks rolling? They only have one loss, right?
I would say they're rolling.
Aren't they rolling with one loss?
Outside of crazily the Chicago Bulls, they're the only other team in the league rolling.
I mean, I could get it. Like if they're 1-4, right? And now they're like, oh, can Giannis get the Bucks going? Okay, well, maybe, but that one loss, man. Golly, man, I hate when they talk about the Bucks nationally. Okay, so we'll get into some Bucks talk, not about the games or nothing like that, but I wanted to get into Giannis a little bit, who again debuted 12 years ago today. We'll do that coming up at 3:00. I want to talk Badger football right now, if you do not mind, because it's something that we've been talking about, right? We've had Matt Bernstein on, we've had Sojourn Shelton on this program, and we've been really diving into the Badgers and kind of getting everybody's side. Well, Jim Polzin of the Wisconsin State Journal, Badger Extra, as well. You have to pay for it. It's a firewall, so you're not going to get to it unless you play for Badger Extra. But he talked with Ted Kellner. Now, Ted Kellner, as Polzin puts it on the tweet, is a super donor. And when we talk about super donor, we're talking about donating millions and millions of dollars. Their brand new indoor practice football facility that they are doing. He gave the first $20 million to launch the fundraising for that new football facility. And Wisconsin then named the football facility after him and his wife after that was all said and done. He has given lots and lots of money over the years. He is their money guy. He's also given some Milwaukee in the last few years as well. I believe it was for their business school or whatever. He is not a young guy. He's around 80 years old. I think he's 79 years old. And when he talks, people listen. Number one, he was on the search committee for the next athletic director. So he was part of the deal to hire Chris McIntosh as AD. Nobody is tighter with Ted Kellner than one King Barry Alvarez, as they are in lockstep. And credit to Barry Alvarez for forging that relationship and doing all of that to get Ted Kellner to throw money at this thing for some time. He defends Fickle in this piece. Says he's a good football coach. He likes Fickle. Really gets into defending McIntosh, saying he's the best person to lead this program. He has all the faith in the world in him, yada, yada, yada. So doubling down on McIntosh. Now, Badger fans that I've seen on social media are hot. They are mad that Ted Kellner is defending these two guys. Because what does that mean? That means they're not going anywhere, probably. If Ted Kellner's like, I'm good, here's my next check, then they're good and they're fine. When Ted Kellner goes, I'm done with this, get rid of him or I'm out, then they'll make a move. Ted Kellner probably has more power than Chris McIntosh, if we're being honest. Okay? Barry Alvarez probably has more power than Chris McIntosh. Maybe not officially, like on the books, but I promise you, when Barry Alvarez talks, people listen to Madison. And that will be the case until the day that man is dead. That will always be the case. I don't care if he's 90. People will be listening to Barry Alvarez when he talks. My question is, when you see the fact that you have a major booster like Ted Kellner backing Fickle, backing McIntosh, what does that mean to you as a Badger fan? What does that mean to you? Everybody can take it a different way. What does it mean to you? Nicolay Law, talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Follow us on socials at WI Sports Radio. If you're streaming us on X right now, always feel free to retweet the live stream while you're there. Always can comment as well. Right there on the bottom as you're looking at the tweet, it says scroll for more comments. Boop. Click right there and you can comment, just like everybody on YouTube watches on the live stream can comment as well. And then we'll read some of those comments. Charlie will do that over there and read the dugout chats. I see there's some messages up there. I don't know if it's concerning the Badgers or not, but we got some stuff we can read. This is the other thing when it comes to Kellner, the Badgers, and all of this. He also doubled down on the idea about, well, we're going to have more money invested in football next year. There's going to be more money that Luke Fickell and Chris McIntosh can use next year in football. My question, where was it this year? Where was it? Are you going to inherit a whole bunch more money that you don't have now, Ted, and you're going to be able to throw it at this thing next year? I mean, he's 80. He can't possibly be having somebody that's like in their hundreds about to pass away to give him a bunch of money. The man's loaded. So why wasn't that money being thrown at the program in the first place? If all of this money was at the doorstep for Wisconsin and you had all this money you could throw at it, why weren't you trying to do this for the last 2 freaking years? Why did it take this point of embarrassment for this program before you got up and actually did something? Like, I do not understand. And we talked to Matt Bernstein about this too. Matt's like, hey, man, like, if they really have all this money, cool, but why aren't you putting into it now then? Why isn't it already there for Luke Fickell to use? That's what I don't understand. Secondly, my message to Ted Kellner would be, hey, man, that's cool. You're going to give Luke Fickell and his coaching staff all this money. Who have you seen them develop, really, to make you think that all your money is going to be used wisely and you're going to get the most out of the players that they recruit or bring in the transfer portal? Who have they really made all that much better? There aren't many. There's not many on this team where their guys did some hell of a job getting these guys coached up. Every year we would watch Badgers go in the first round, the second round, the third round. That was with Brett Bielema. That was with Barry Alvarez. And even Chris had some guys that were going high in the draft. And now you get nobody in the first couple of days of the draft half the time, and you wait for day 3 to see any of these guys get drafted. And you wonder why your program is backwards right now. So you can give them a bunch more money, but if you can't develop talent, you're just wasting money. You're setting it on fire and burning it. Because if they can't coach them up, what does it matter? All right, let's go to the phones. Nicolay Law Talk and text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. When you see a major booster for the Badgers like Ted Kellner come out and defend McIntosh and Fickell, what does that mean to you? John in Hartford, you're first up on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. What's up, John?
Hey, Sparky. How's it going?
Good.
So, first of all, is Barry Alvarez getting senile? Because nothing Luke Fickell has done is how Barry Alvarez ran his program.
None of it. Yep.
So I just don't get it. And okay, how much money are we talking? Are we talking $1 million a year more?
No.
Which is, even if we had somebody that was worth the crap at developing talent, wouldn't matter. Because not only can he develop talent, but they don't know what the heck they're doing with quarterbacks. They bring in quarterbacks that big programs or programs with a ton of money don't want.
Well, they also get hurt when they get them here. I mean, you got the Billy Edwards kid from Maryland. I don't know how good that kid would have been, but again, like everybody else he's brought in, they get hurt.
Well, right, but I don't think the guy from Miami last year, the guy was terrible in Miami. What makes you think he's going to be any better in Wisconsin? And Billy Edwards, I don't know how many more games they win with him at quarterback because he didn't look that great the first game of the year before he got hurt.
I don't have that answer for you either, but they haven't won a single Big Ten game. So at this point, had they been able to win a single Big Ten game, that would look better than 0 Big Ten games. So thanks for the
would have, but
I hear you, John. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it. Nicolay Law Talk and text line 414-677-1250. Tristan in Wausau, listening on 93.9 The Game. Ted Kellner is the bagman for Barry and UW. I thank him for everything he has donated. Mac is Barry, and Ted's handpicked. Lapdog, he calls him. Ted fully understands he loses power if Mac loses his power over football operations. I don't agree. The article should surprise nobody. We all see the absolute mismanagement of the entire operation. Wisconsin needs a CEO-type people person in charge. Fickle is very underwhelmed at being personal and knowing how to properly manage the Wisconsin way. You need the alumni and state to feel like they are involved. It's a family, and that's how we win. There's a lot there. So first, let's start off with this whole family concept. In talking to these guys that are former Badgers, it doesn't feel like the family concept is really a thing anymore. So that's number one. Number two, as far as alumni events and so forth, I'm not saying that this is the case all over the state, but I've heard from a couple different people that he doesn't show up at some of these alumni events where they think he's going to be. Or they ask him to be. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't get there. Why can't you get here? You haven't won a freaking game. What are you so busy doing? Whatever it is, ain't working anyhow. Maybe you need a break to come here and try and raise money so you have more money to use on your roster next year. So that's number two. When you are in charge of a Division I football program or any football program, you could go all the way down to the high school level if you want, right? Because you want to fundraise at the high school level too. And when you put together fundraisers or whatever the case may be, the high school head football coach has to be there. Has to be a thing, right?
Yeah, I would say that's the face of the team.
Okay,
yeah.
So I'll give you an example. I'm sure he doesn't want me talking about this on the air, but I'm going to give you an example. I won't say where it is. Most of you know where I live, but in the town where I live, they have a homecoming parade, right? Just like most towns, don't they? Does Brookfield have a homecoming parade?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
2 of them technically.
Oh, for Central and 1 for East. Mm-hmm. Right, makes sense. So you have the homecoming parade. So I'm at the homecoming parade because the kids wanted to go because they're going to be throwing out candy. Dad, can we go? Can we? Okay. So we went earlier this year, and I'm waiting to see the high school football coach. Nope, no high school football coach. And I texted him. I'm like, dude, I sat through this whole parade. Where are you? Oh, I'm sitting on the side of the road, probably just like you are watching it. I'm like, what? And I texted him. I was like, hey, man, you need to be like Santa Claus at the end of this thing as the head football coach. You and your guys need to be at the end of this bringing this up so everybody can stand and cheer and go crazy for the head football coach of the high school team. That's, like you said, that's face of the program. That's making sure everybody knows what you look like and who you are and so forth. Who knows? On the side of the road could be some guy that wants to throw money at the football program, but's never met the head coach, don't even know what he looks like, have no idea. Well, now boom, there you are. They announce who you are. Now maybe that guy comes up to you after, hey, man, I'd really like to help out. Never met you before, but my name is so-and-so from wherever. It's the same thing when you're talking about Luke Fickell in college football. It's the same thing. Every time there is an event that you possibly can get yourself to, you need to be there. And not just show up and cross your arms and kind of just hang out and look at everybody, but be active in the room and essentially recruiting money. That's kind of your deal. You recruit players, yes, but you also have to recruit money to go towards the program. Unless you are in some unbelievable situation at some of these other universities that just have an unlimited amount of money coming in, SMU, and some of these other programs, Texas Tech, BYU appears to have a gigantic amount of money too. Maybe you don't have to do it there. But at Wisconsin, that's part of the gig. And if you don't want to do it, then you ain't the guy. Like, I'm sorry, I hate to break it to you. You're not the guy. Do you know, I love Bart Lundy, the Milwaukee Panthers basketball head coach. Okay. I love Bart Lundy. I don't know Doug Gottlieb in Green Bay, so I have no idea what that dude's like, but I love Bart. Having said that, do you know who the best basketball coach was at Milwaukee?
Who's that?
Bruce Pearl. And when Bruce Pearl got here, he did the same type of crap he pulled at Tennessee to a certain degree. Now, he didn't take off his shirt and go to the student section like he did at Tennessee, but what made Bruce Pearl great was he was kind of like a used car salesman. He was out talking to everybody, every radio station, every TV station. He was out with the crowd, talking to the fans, talking to the students. He was essentially recruiting the community to come to Panther games. And they did, and they were successful, and they made a run in the tournament. All of that happened. So, great basketball coach, yes, but also understood that part of his job was to rally the community around him to buy in. And when you rally certain people that have a lot of money, they can really help you. But if you sit there with your hands behind your back and observe and wait for everybody else to do it for you, at a program like Wisconsin, you're going nowhere. It's not happening.
Well, and it would be different if he was getting paid $1 million, $750,000.
Oh, yeah.
If he was sitting here and watching it kind of unfold the way it is, and he wasn't doing anything at that salary, I don't think people blame him because he doesn't have as much skin in the game. Dude, you're the reason they're not paying their football players as much. You're $7 million. You should be out there smoothing every single person on the face of the earth. Q in the YouTube chat for WI Sports Radio over there says, do you think Fickell can raise money right now? Yes, I do think he can. And I think that it's part of the job of being a head football coach. He also says, sounds like Sparky wants a politician as a coach.
I've said this before. I don't know if you were listening. I brought it up to Matt Bernstein. My cousin used to, well, he still does fundraising, but he's got his own thing on the side now. He doesn't do it necessarily for political parties anymore. He got out of that game. But he used to be in charge of doing the political fundraising for like a Tommy Thompson or whatever back in the day. And they did huge numbers, right? If I was Wisconsin, give me the leading fundraiser in the last 10 or 15 years for the Republican Party and give me the person on the Democratic side. And I'm going to pay both y'all to come in here and hustle some money for this program. I'm taking you both out of politics. I don't care about what side you're on. I just want all your contacts and people you go to. Bring both of them in, give them positions, pay them handsomely, and get out of their way and let them go raise money for you on a year-to-year basis. Put together events, do all that stuff. They know how to do it. They do it for a profession already. Let them go run it for Wisconsin versus whatever they have in there now. And I don't know what type of fundraising experience they got in there right now. Maybe they have guys that have done it their whole career, whatever else. I don't know. But it's clearly not working with whatever they have right now.
I think the biggest key right now for Wisconsin, and the reason that most of this isn't working, is they're trying so hard to do this all the right way when nobody else is doing this the right way, the moral way.
What do you mean the right way?
I think Wisconsin, it feels like they're giving money to more teams than other schools are. It feels like they're spreading out funds. It feels like that they're trying to do it the way that it's always been done, where it's not about the money, the way some of their basketball programs are doing it across the country, like Marquette, where it's got to be, you can develop these guys. It's just different for football right now. So many other schools are willing to put that money into their football programs. Just getting to the Big Ten championship isn't big enough anymore. In basketball, for a lot of these teams, just getting to the NCAA tournament is enough. That's good enough for them. That says they had a successful season. In football, it's not the same. And they are just not playing like that now.
I disagree, because for the longest time, especially with Chris, it was all about just getting to a bowl game. That's all it was about. It wasn't about anything like that. And when Chris started to see the talent decline and so forth and what's going the right direction, McIntosh made that move, not because Chris couldn't get him to bowl games. McIntosh made that move because, as he put it, we should be contending for a national championship. That was never, ever the case with Barry Alvarez. There was never any talk from Barry about trying to win a national championship. It was something that never got brought up with him. It didn't get brought up with Bielema. All Barry cared about back then, and again, the climate's different, but back then, all he cared about was getting to the Rose Bowl. That's it. Win the Big Ten. That's all I care about. And whatever happens after that, fine. But I just want to win the Big Ten. When McIntosh took over and Fickell came in, what did they talk about? Contending for and winning a national championship. That's what they were selling the recruits. That's what they were selling the coaching staff. That's what they were selling to all the employees in the building and the new people that they were bringing in. We're in this to win a national championship. We're done just being happy with bowl games. And instead of it doing what the way they wanted to go, they've brought it into.
But bowl games don't matter nearly as much as they did when Barry Alvarez.
But it always has at Wisconsin, because these alumni get to go to Florida.
It has
to go to California, and they're happy
because half the bowl games are in Idaho and Omaha now. You're not going to the same place. It's not the same.
The Citrus Bowl is still in Florida. No,
back when Barry Alvarez was the coach, it was the two teams that were in that national championship decision. They were doing all the factors, the computer analysis.
Back then, it was just the AP and the coaches bowl.
Right. It was that type of stuff where
you got to the BCS, what you're talking about,
where it mattered a lot more to get to those bowl games because so few teams had an opportunity at that national championship title. And then you get to the 14 playoff where it's a little easier for a couple more teams to compete for that spot. And it still matters for the bowl games, but not as much. You can try to get to that national championship competition. And then now you have the college football playoff setup. The bowl games just don't matter as much.
It didn't matter then either. They were.
You just said they mattered. You just talked about how much the Rose Bowl mattered to them.
What I'm telling you is to you and me, okay? When they would go to the Outback Bowl in Florida, they were the first game on New Year's Day. Alumni was happy. They were in Florida. All was good. Or if they played as the number 2 Big Ten team later in the day in Florida still again, Alumni was happy. They weren't in the Rose Bowl, but at least they were in a warm weather climate and they weren't in Wisconsin, so that was their vacation or whatever the case was. That's what it's always been. Now, yes, I agree. Going to Detroit isn't exactly where I want to be for a bowl game or whatever. But as far as the importance of the Rose Bowl, Barry didn't care about any of that stuff. Barry just wanted to win the Big Ten, represent the Big Ten against the Pac-10. And because remember, Barry was at Iowa. So the Big Ten runs in that dude's blood forever, even before he got to Wisconsin. So when he's there, in fact, Barry Alvarez literally came on his show I was on and said, guys, do you really think people are raising their hands wanting to come to Wisconsin around the country? That's what he said. And I was like, what did you just say? You got to be kidding me. Then they hired Gary Anderson after he says that. They hired Gary Anderson, who also did not do well. He wasn't crappy like Fickle like this, but it wasn't the same. He comes in from Utah State, and Gary Anderson says, hey, man, I can take this Badger helmet, put it down on any table in this country, and people know where I'm from by just seeing the helmet, and we need to play at a higher level to get to that point. So what did Gary Anderson do? I'm going to change the offense. We're going to have different offensive linemen. Sound familiar? That's what we were going to do. That lasted a couple of years, and Gary Anderson quit. Want to know why? Because he was getting recruits to come in, but they couldn't get in academically. He couldn't get the guys in that he wanted. And he said, to hell with this. This isn't going to work. I'm out. And that was the end of it. And left him high and dry, and then he went back and got Paul Chris and go back to do it the Badger way again. And then they went out of the family a second time with Barry Alvarez in charge. And for a second time, it's failed miserably. This is all on Barry Alvarez. Y'all can blame McIntosh all you want. But if Barry didn't want Fickle, they wouldn't have had Fickle. And I love Fickle. So I'm not trying to be like, oh, I didn't want him. I, of course, wanted him. Absolutely. But the longer Fickle stays and the longer this doesn't work out, it's on Barry too. And people, that needs to go on Barry's legacy. Not just what he did as a head coach, but how this whole thing is being screwed up. Because he's got as much say as Ted Kellner does, the major booster, McIntosh, the chancellor. All of them have this on their record going forward. All right, I got to take a quick time out because we're way late for a break. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome in, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy. See Sparky, Fifer with you. Only a couple of minutes left before the top of the hour break. Sports Talk on Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, presented by Paramount Plus. You can't count on much these days, but you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus. Watch your local NFL game every Sunday on CBS and Paramount Plus all season long. Visit ParamountPlus.com/NFL to get started today. Before we get to the top of the hour and get into Giannis, again, 12 years ago today, Giannis debuted in the NBA. Crazy. I got one coming in from the 715 that says, Ted wanted Fickle. Yeah. Ted Kellner was on the search committee that got Fickle to be the athletic director. Paul Christ was also a part of that, and he signed off on having McIntosh be the athletic director, who then fired Paul Christ after he approved him becoming the athletic director. You want to talk about crazy stuff? That's crazy stuff right there. And then, of course, you had the whole Jim Leonard situation where Leonard thought he was going to be the next guy. Him and McIntosh were guys, so he thought. And then he went and hired Luke Fickell and really got Jim Leonard mad. And I'm pretty sure Paul Christ probably wasn't too happy about the whole situation either, how that whole thing played out. There was a post today, Ben Stevens, I think is the guy's name, who posted Matt Rule at Nebraska. Last 6 years prior to Matt Rule, how bad they were. And then the next 3 years with Matt Rule, and they've went to 2 bowl games. They're over 500 and so forth. And I tweeted back at Ben Stevens. I said, hey, now do Wisconsin for me before Luke Fickell and after Luke Fickell. And he tweeted back. He's like, well, that would be regression. That's not the same thing. Well, of course it's going to be regression. That's why I want to see what it looks like at that point. That's exactly why I want to see what it looks like at that point. Because it's horrible. And to be honest, they extended Matt Rule through like 2030 something. And when I saw it, I was like, for what? Like,
for being good enough.
For being a bowl team.
For being good enough.
Right. Not national championship contender, not a playoff team, for just getting them back to being a bowl team with 6 or 7 wins. That's where Nebraska is. I got bad news. That's where the Badgers are in that boat and soon to be in that boat with whoever the coach is going to be after Luke Fickell if he can't turn this around next year. All right, coming up next, we're going to talk about Giannis. He debuted 12 years ago today. We're going to talk about our favorite Giannis memories coming up next. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here.